We are creating a platform for those who are curious, one that tells the story from the artist's perspective. Moments in time captured from the innovators who are reshaping dance, music, theater, and the visual arts. This is the Working Artist Project.
So today on the Working Artist Project, I have the one and only Evan Arntzen.
The original.
Don't
believe the imposters.
That's right. First of all, there's no one else named with the name Arntzen.
No, it's a terrible idea.
It's only 5 of y'all.
To try and be a musician or a public personality of any kind.
Right.
With a name with 4 consonants in a row, however many it is.
So, man, where does that name come from? Where do you come from originally?
Well, the name is Norwegian, and I come from Canada. And, I mean, it's Canada way back, generations. But on my grandfather's side, that's the Norwegian side. And
okay.
My great-grandfather was Norwegian. He landed in New Orleans, actually, as an illegal immigrant in 1907.
Oh, word.
Yes.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Arndt Arntzen the First.
Ah, so that's who your brother is named after your great-grandfather.
Exactly.
Your great-grandfather.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, that's a story, man. See, illegal immigration leads to beautiful things.
Yeah, it can. Very often,
Yeah.
Well, the stakes are high.
Right. Exactly.
If you're an immigrant like that, you got to hustle.
Yeah. So let's get to the way that you got to New York.
I had been in Vancouver, playing music and traveling. Also, I traveled to Europe and Japan and in the States. I was already kind of playing around like that with different people and for festivals and different things. And I was playing in Vancouver, and life was good. I didn't really have any. It was never like a deal breaker for me to leave there, but it did come to a point where, well, I should really spend some serious time studying and playing music in another place, in a larger place, because it's just something I always wanted to do.
Right.
And I was married at the time.
Okay.
You met Kirsten, my ex-wife.
Yeah, of course.
And so she was supportive of that idea, and so somewhere along the way, we just decided that New York was the place that that I needed to be. And once I arrived here, it just happened very quickly. I was working a lot and really excited about everything that was happening here musically.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm remembering the first day we met, because we met because of Bria.
Yes.
And because they had been talking about you for months, like, yeah, Evan's coming. Like, who is this Evan? You know how I'm like,
and I remember similar about you. They were like, oh yeah, Darrian's moving to New York, because I was in touch with Bria the whole time.
Right,
so
right.
I was hearing, it was funny. We were hearing the same things.
Right. It's funny how life works in our past, like converged. And then we went on the road for 3 years together with Bria.
Yeah.
So now we're friends, and
mm-hmm.
you can never get rid of me for the rest of your life. You're stuck, bro.
I've been trying.
So, man, what advice would you give to, say, a young clarinet player? You play clarinet. We need to say that. You play clarinet,
right.
saxophone,
right,
and you're also a vocalist.
Yeah.
So, someone who wants to follow in your footsteps, maybe they're in Canada right now, they're in Vancouver,
right.
and they want to be you. What advice would you give them?
I would say don't be me, be yourself. But, go for what inspires you, first of all. It's going to be coming from a more authentic place. And that's just something I try to do all the time is, honor the inspiration that you receive.
Right.
And that means work on it. That means if you get an idea, take that idea and run with it. Don't just have it and then watch the TV show or,
right.
There's so many distractions now
Yeah.
that you can partake of. So I'd say just try to be consistent, try to, be selfless, be humble and it's everything. It's practicing. It's trying to be, in a good mental space. It's trying to, and it's trying to prepare yourself as best as you're able to handle the musical opportunities that you have.
See, that's why you work more than every other saxophone player on the planet Earth, because you said, you will need to do what the music needs, and also your energy is pulls people towards you instead of repels them. You know what I mean?
Sure.
How do you keep that vibe going, of happiness and gratitude?
It's just the paradigm from which I come. I think about my grandfather, who is, probably my primary inspiration for making music, and he just has so much more fun playing music than I do, or than basically anyone, you know, except for, with the exception of maybe my brother, who's also just very like joyful when he plays. I you know, tend to get up in my own head a little bit more than that. He doesn't question things. He's just making music and enjoying it, and enjoying the company of the musicians, and enjoying performing for an audience who's also enjoying it. And, you know, so that whole experience is what I identify with in terms of being a musician. And so I find it very easy to be inspired and happy for the musicians around me who are just kind of being themselves, you know. And I love to see that. I love when you're playing the drums and you're just like, yeah, that's Darrian, you know. It looks like Darrian, it feels like Darrian. It's like, you know, and I just really enjoy that experience, and so I don't mind showing it either, you know. When I'm on stage, I smile, and because I'm feeling that way.
See, I know, you know, for me, like, I know when we were on the road together when you went through a transition in your life, you know. I'm talking about your divorce and everything. Yeah. And like, even through that, you maintained a certain amount of happiness that, like, you know, because I went through a similar experience and I was just like fucked up. And I was like, man, how does Evan keep smiling through this, man? Like, you're on some high level shit, man. You've got some weed I don't have or something, man.
It helped. No.
You know, right. So, you know, just going through hard times or going through transitions in life, you know, music is something that people don't tell you in school. Like, something's going to happen in your regular life outside of your musical life, and you have to try your best to maintain positivity and maintain focus on what you're doing. Like, how did you get to that, and how did you keep those things, the hardships, from bringing you to a, you know, depressed state? Or
I don't know. I mean, I definitely got there at times, but I mean, to me, that was nothing to do with music. And what's more, like, the music that I was privileged to perform, I mean, we're so lucky as musicians because, I mean, for me, and I think if you're doing it in the right way or for the right reasons or something, music is like therapy, you know. I mean, playing your instrument should be a relaxing experience, or just something that brings you outside of, you know, the babble that is happening in your head, and it brings you into the moment, and just kind of like, I don't know, for me it brings a lot of peace. So even when times were at their darkest, it was like I would be able to go and perform with my friends and, I don't know, forget about it for a minute, you know.
Right.
And it was always like that because, music is like that for me. It just kind of brings me outside of whatever feelings I'm having into what the experience of music is.
So I don't know what the answer is, y'all. Like,
I know you can kind of glean your own. There's no magic bullet.
Right. At this point, I want to like listen to some of your music, man.
Well, from that album, which I recorded in January in France with some friends over there, I think you know Sébastien Giraudeau and Le Section Rythmique, they call themselves, the rhythm section. So, we'll play Ball and the Jack, which is an arrangement we came up with.
Ball and the Jack.
There you have it.
So what does ball and a jack mean, man?
It's a dance.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah, people used to ball the jack. I don't know what it looks like.
It sounds like a painful dance.
It does, doesn't it?
Ball the jack, dude. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of places we could go.
Right. So someone told you this was a dance, or you?
Well, that's just what the song is about. The lyrics are about first you do. It's like instructions on how to do the dance.
Okay, so
that's what they call ball in the jack.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this isn't an original song. This is an old standard.
No, I don't. There are a couple originals on the album, but I don't.
Okay.
I've never been that much of a writer. I mainly play stuff that other people wrote.
Somebody got to play it. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I mean, I love music from that era. The early jazz age. So.
Mm-hmm. So being a musician that travels or has traveled and is currently traveling all over the world to play music,
mm-hmm.
like, do you consider that one element to make you successful, or what does success mean to you?
Oh, well, I mean, traveling beyond just, if you enjoy traveling, that's kind of given,
mm-hmm.
or whatever. I mean, there's motivation to do that if you enjoy doing it. But it can be a means of certainly like proliferate, your music to reach more people.
Right.
Unless you live in a city in New York, you can actually just live here and play only here and get by as a musician.
Right.
It's one of the only places in the world you can do that. If you live almost anywhere else except for like New Orleans or Tokyo, I heard, you kind of do have to travel. Even musicians who live in Paris. I mean, maybe there are some who just play gigs in Paris, but not really any that I know. I mean, they travel too. And it's also Europe, everything's closer together. You can get around a lot easier. It's, so it's easier to do that there also. Yeah, there's a lot of benefits to traveling to play. I mean, just having life experience, navigating the road, navigating that lifestyle in lots of its different forms. Like when I was in college in a van with my friends and sleeping on floors and couches, versus, just going out with, like when we were touring with Bria. I mean, she's kind of the queen of like making things comfortable on the road,
exactly.
I mean,
yeah.
And, but there are still lots of great experiences you can have there too. And it provides perspective on your home life too, so that you can go away and then you're looking forward to coming back and checking in with everything that's happening there. So it's all part and parcel of what it is to, be a successful musician to me.
So that is your definition of success?
Not necessarily. No, I mean, that is a changeable thing, I think. For me, it's like, okay, this is what I want to do right now. Actually, I mean, in my 20s and, I'm now 32 and I'm thinking more about, lately at least, investing in New York, investing in like trying to do things here, because in the 3 years that I've lived here, I've played a lot of gigs, like a lot, but I haven't organized that many things myself. So, and that could be in France, but it also could be here. So, and I, have yet to really kind of push to do anything in New York that I'm organizing. So that's another version of success,
Right.
And that's my current project.
So the undercurrent theme here is that success is always morphing, or your version is always changing depending on the time period. Sure,
yeah. And you're asking me about this too. I'm a person who I just haven't done a lot of thinking of those kind of ways. I've never been so much a goal-oriented person. It's something that I want to try and work on, but I've been very much just kind of like a go with the flow type of dude.
So how do you, if you are just going with the flow, like how do you point your life in the right direction? Like how do you envision your future or your present?
Well, maybe it's just a product of being in your 30s or what, but it's like I'm starting to think about those things a lot more now and asking myself those kinds of questions, whereas before I wasn't really. I don't know why, other than it never occurred to me, and I wasn't like
You were having too much fun, man.
I guess, yeah. I like to have fun,
Yeah.
you know? Because, there's a lot of stuff that'll happen to you in your life that isn't fun anyway, no
Yeah.
matter what.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking about now,
Okay.
Trying to point my life in a direction, thinking about the future, all those things.
Like, what do you want to happen exactly? Like, what is the one thing?
Well, a meaningful partnership with a woman is something I'm working on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Currently.
Man, tell me about it.
And it's beautiful,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
really liking the direction that's going right now. So
That's a good point, because relationships, at least in our field, is the most important thing. Like the ability to develop relationships, and to maintain relationships with people. Because
it's hard, man.
It's hard.
To me, the most challenging thing about being a musician is the inconsistency.
Right.
And that translates to a lot of things, like how much you're getting paid, when you're working, who you're working with, where you're working. Everything is changing constantly.
Yeah.
Unless, I don't know, you go work on a cruise ship I don't know. There's just not the same the business is not the same as it once was, where you could be working in a place. Now it's a lot different, particularly if your main bread and butter, which it has been for me up until now, and it still is. But I'm thinking about moving, trying to bring other aspects of work into what I do. But what I'm talking about is just being sort of a hired gun, sort of like freelancer. You're playing for other people who are hiring you to play. There's a lot of inconsistency that comes with that,
Yeah. People always ask us, like, "Oh, who do you play with?" Or "What band do you play?" It's like,
so you play in a band or something?
Well, yeah, 20 of them.
Yeah.
Because you have to. There's not enough work, or the work is like so sporadic that you have to diversify your portfolio, so to speak.
Yeah.
In order to make a living,
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes the lay person, they don't really understand that, because they're coming from their own perspective, where they go to work every day at this one place.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what's good about that is you're training yourself to be able to deal with elements that you can't imagine. You know what I mean? Because it's always different. Things are always changing.
Yes.
So you're always adapting, and you get used to that.
Yeah.
To like, oh, okay, cool. I'll just go this way. And we already do it in our music because we're jazz musicians, so we're always improvising.
Precisely. Yeah.
But it can get stressful to improvise your entire life forever.
Yeah, particularly when you're talking about a significant other, and bringing them into your life also. And I'm the product of that too. Like, I was raised by a family in which the breadwinners were my father and my mother. My mother being her main source of income was school teaching. Mm-hmm. She was a teacher for over 30 years, but she was also a singer. So that's how my parents met. They were in a band together.
Okay.
And toured all over North America in a school bus. And, did like 2 weeks at this hotel lounge in this casino.
70s.
Yeah. Early 80s. Yeah.
Okay.
But, still kind of like, in Canada, it was still the 70s.
Okay.
But yeah. So, and then she had to make a tough transition because she wanted a house, she wanted stability, she wanted kids, all these things, that led her to go into school teaching, which is what she started out with also. But my dad was always just a band leader and musician. So, and it's tough because you get a gig and you're working when other people are celebrating or doing family things, or like, it's like, oh, well, I guess I'm going to miss that birthday party, or, this or that, things that are important in life. And, so that's a lesson that I learned, actually, because I didn't want to be in the position of missing those kind of important things. You know what I mean? Family things, or like, I wanted to, that was definitely a goal. That's part of success for me, is to not be tied to the job.
Right.
I
call it like, don't be a slave to the music,
Right.
Like, be able to be like, no.
Yeah.
Which is hard. You have to set up all the pieces just right.
Because people like offer you a lot of money, or it's, or just there's something, especially coming from that, you know, there's something, a little part of me that just goes like, ow, every time I have to say no to a gig, you know.
Well, also we're trying to feed the beast because we have this insatiable desire to perform.
That too. Yes.
You know? And then you have all these other adult things to deal with. It's like stuff they don't tell you when you're growing up and you're playing music in school, you know.
Right.
It's just like you just think it's always going to be carefree, and then you get a family, you get a wife,
right?
You know, and then you gotta you have to provide, and then you also have to somehow be around.
Right.
How do you do those two things?
It's balance, you know. So it's like you're saying, you're constantly making judgment calls about like, okay, I'll go this way, go that way. You know, but it can get exhausting, you know, being I think about it as momentum, you know. That's where balance comes from. It's like you're on a bicycle, you know, but it's like sometimes let me just get off the bike for a second.
Right. I need a fucking break, man.
Yeah.
It's tough, man. I don't know. We don't have all the answers, guys, but we got some of them, you know?
Yeah, sure. People do it different ways. I mean, that's the beauty of our job, too, is that it's flexible as, you know, as anything. And you can make it into a lot of different things, depending on who you are and what you want to do. There's a lot of different ways to get by. You can teach more. You can be into recording. You can be writing a lot. You can, you know. For me, it was always about playing music with people, for people. And that's an experience I love. I love just like having 3 gigs in a day and just like going from one to the other. And
right.
And that's really thrilling and a great experience for me. And then you get paid at the end of it, and it's satisfying, you know.
It is. So you just said something cool because you were like you identify what it is that you want it to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? Sometimes I think people don't do that, and they just end up doing a bunch of random shit, and then they're still unhappy even though they're doing this thing that they love. So you have to identify, okay, I want to do music like this.
Right.
I want to do it like that.
Yeah.
And then you etch out your path accordingly, right?
Absolutely.
So man, I want to talk about this band you're in with Sean Cronin.
Right, yeah. And that's kind of a funny story right now because we're changing the name of the band, you know, which is like, why are you doing that?
Is that what you asked them?
Well, we've been asking ourselves that the whole time.
Okay.
I mean, we've been talking about this for like almost a year. It's insane.
Yeah, why are you doing it?
Because, I mean, for me, I can't speak for Sean necessarily, but for me, I think I just wanted like a fresh injection of aesthetic creativity, just kind of some new stuff.
Okay. So you kind of changing the direction of the music.
Not so much. That's the thing. The music itself is pretty consistent with these guys. And I love this band because it's so much a case of we're improvisers together.
Okay.
It's this thing of playing ensemble, you know, where like we could play for minutes or songs without anyone really having a solo per se. You know what I mean? It's not like a soloist and accompaniment. It's more just we're improvising together.
Oh, wow.
And to have that experience playing old songs, you know, I mean, we're playing like early jazz and country music and stuff like that is really amazing to me. So the music aspect of it, I think, speaks for itself. And then, but to that end, I am thinking more along the lines of like business and like branding or whatever. And the old name of the band was fine but I just kind of associate it with a certain type of gig or a certain scene, and I wanted to not be limited by that.
I got you. Okay,
so,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So what's the new name? We won't even tell them the old name.
Right.
It don't matter.
The new name is the Animule Dance.
What the hell does that mean?
That's what everyone's going to ask, so I got to come up with a good answer. But, you know, it's like, basically the name comes from a Jelly Roll Morton song.
Okay.
Jelly Roll Morton did this tune called the Animule Dance. It's all about all of you animules, you know.
It's like animals, kind of?
Yeah, but he's saying, he's just, you know, it's like related to this time where, I don't know, musicians and people in general are probably just more creative in the language that they were using. And
right.
So, yeah, just kind of liked how it sounded.
Okay.
And it's related to that music, the Jelly Roll.
To the Jelly Roll thing. So it's funny because you wanted to get away from that, and then you named your band after it. No?
Well, the thing I'm talking about wanting to get away from is more about, you know, because, I mean, traditional jazz music in New York and in general in the last 10 years has experienced a surge of popularity. And there are a lot more young people who are into it and making that kind of music. So that's a scene that we come from and we play in, and it's beautiful. But I just wanted to be not limited to that. You know, I wanted to have the opportunity to play a jazz festival or a folk music festival or something that, outside of that scene.
Okay.
You know?
Okay, I got you. Let's listen to it, man.
musicians are we're just playing an old style, really. I mean, we're playing a Duke Ellington song from the jazz age, and that's the sound of the music. I mean, that's the rhythm that we're playing. But with these musicians, I just feel like it's not limited to that. It's fresh to me when we're playing music, and they're very versatile musicians. Sean Cronin, who's been on your podcast,
right? Of course. And
Adam Brisbane, the guitarist, and they play rock music. They play all sorts of creative music, and so they're improvising in this style coming from that, and it's just that's where I want to be.
You can tell their imaginations are just like crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's grooving. Like Sean is on a bass, just killing it.
Yeah.
And what's my man Adam playing percussion?
Andrew is our on the recording you just heard is Brad Lale, who was one of the founding members of the band. He moved upstate. He's a potter. He's a beautiful cat. He'll always be a scrubboard serenader. Okay.
Well, that band is over, man.
Right.
Don't say that name no more, man.
It's true. We're looking to the future. So yeah, it's exciting, because I think we can do a lot of cool things if we can get organized to come up with this just stuff for people to be able to consume.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm hearing this and I'm thinking about your grandfather, because just the sound and the tone of your clarinet on this recording was so different from the previous recording we listened to of your most recent recording.
Sure, yeah.
And I mean, the only way for me to explain it is you listen to your grandfather, because he was closer to that era of music than you are.
Yeah.
And he probably heard cats actually do it, right?
A little bit, yeah. It's funny how, like, I mean, when you ask me about him and his connection to New Orleans music, it's like, I mean, he didn't go to New Orleans until just a few years ago in his 80s, you know.
Wow.
And he really, but that said, you know, from a very young, like as a teenager, he bought a record called New Orleans Jazz, which had Henry Van Allen and Edmund Hall and Sidney Bechet and Jelly Roll Morton on it, and he just fell in love with that music and started listening to it and consuming it, and got a clarinet and taught himself how to play. And you know, like Johnny Dodds and Sidney Bechet, and that's just what he loved. But he didn't really hear a lot of it, and there was nobody at the time in Vancouver doing it. He would literally like go to the record store and ask the man at the record store for people's names and phone numbers who had purchased titles by Duke Ellington or Jelly Roll Morton or anybody who was like into that style, and then he would call them on the phone and ask them if they wanted to join a New Orleans jazz band.
Wow, you get a restraining order for that in 2017. You can't do that, man.
Right?
Do
exactly. Different times.
Wow. Okay.
But I mean, in the 40s, you know, everyone is into Glenn Miller. You know, I mean, it was old music. It was passé.
So your grandfather was a pioneer. So he started an entire scene out of nothing. From pure passion.
Yeah, in Vancouver. Wow. Small, albeit, you know, but he did it for his whole career.
Wow.
He was always leading bands and trying to organize that music to happen. So, yeah, I mean, when I think about playing the clarinet, I think about him for sure, because even though he didn't go to New Orleans, he heard some guys like in, I forget which year, it was like around 1950, I think, Louis Armstrong came to town with his All-Stars.
Okay.
With Barney Bigard was playing clarinet with him at that time, and Teddy Wilson, and he met them at the train station with a little group. They had a drummer and a guitar player and a trumpet player, and they played at the train station while Louis got off the train, and heard them. They had a week-long engagement at a place, and he had Barney Bigard over to his house and gave him a fish, I think, that he had caught.
Nice, man.
As a gift. So he heard them a little bit, but he never left Vancouver. I mean, he had a family very young. He had 6 children.
Okay.
He was a school teacher, so he was really tied to that place, and I don't think he really wanted to travel very much. That said, he was eating up Jelly Roll Morton and Louis, and you know, like, so he really got to know that style.
Right. Wow, man, that's a great story, man. Yeah,
what about you in New Orleans music? I mean, how do you enjoy, what is your connection with New Orleans music now?
I mean, you know, I lived there. And
yeah, of course.
Now, I mean, I love New Orleans music, man. But when I moved to New York, I wanted to make sure I wasn't playing New Orleans music. Just because I had just left New Orleans and I didn't want to get stuck in a certain thing, only because I had lived there and experienced that music. I was lucky enough to play with like Don Vappy, like some real cats, you know, who hired me when I couldn't play nothing and were very patient with me learning, you know, the language and stuff. But when I moved here, I wanted to make sure I was playing more modern music because I'm in New York City. But I absolutely love listening to it. I love to play it. But I mean, just listening to it, I was like, man, I should play some more. You know what I mean? I should play some more track. Like, I should start getting back into that, you know, and try to find a circle of people who would be cool, or man, or even just going to listen to it more because it's beautiful. You know, it's just so.
You ever played the washboard?
I've never played the.
I would love to see you play the washboard.
Man, I would learn, man. Hurling can really play that thing, you know.
That's true too. Yeah.
So, man. Like all of my heroes, like Hurling and Shannon Powell, man, those dudes like masters at this music and modern music and everything in between, you know. Yeah. So ultimately, Jason Marcellus is the same. Like that's the kind of drummer or musician that I want to be. You know, like those dudes who can just who just know music. Yeah. And they live music in an inclusive way.
Yes. Yeah.
So we're coming to the end, and I ask everybody this question: what are the 3 things you're most thankful for?
I have a real connection with the the earth and just like life beyond human existence in society.
Right.
You know, so I'm really thankful that there's life beyond my body and humans. You know what I mean? And I appreciate so much when I'm in the forest or on the ocean,
Right.
and just affronted with this massive life force that doesn't really care that much about me, that, you know, it's just happening all around. That's something I'm really, really thankful for.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for, I mean, all the friends that I'm privileged to play music with, that, you know, I can draw upon for ideas, support. You know, I'm just so inspired by, you know, folks like yourself. You're working on your camp in New Orleans. You're doing this podcast. You're really like reaching for stuff, you know. So I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful for my family, you know.
You can never get past that, man. The family, man. That's the best. That's the best shit ever, really.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. You just said the earth, and I was thinking about that one day you were running down the beach, man. This dude, he's got to run everywhere, man. Or that time we were in Copenhagen, and you're like running down the street in the middle of the winter. Was it winter? It was winter, I think.
Yeah, it was.
It was cold and rainy, and I don't know. Everywhere we went, you had to. And that one time you jumped in the ocean.
Right.
Remember that?
Which time? Were we in Oregon?
I feel like we were coming back from, I don't know where. No, we were on the East Coast somewhere.
Oh yeah, it was coming back from Newport.
And you're like, pull over, I gotta jump in the ocean.
I didn't have a bathing suit, but the sun was setting and it was a beautiful summer night, and we were just amongst all these yachts and everything, and I was just like, I'm jumping in my ginch, man.
Oh man, it's funny.
I can't help it.
I understand, man. Let's play one more, man.
Okay.
And this is this from your grandfather?
Yeah, we made an album together, I think in 2013, called Black Stick. That is the name of the band, because we both play clarinets, and Sidney Bechet's song Black Stick, we recorded that. But this is him singing a song about New Orleans, actually written by Tom Waits. Well, I didn't know he was even into Tom Waits at all. But yeah, so he is playing the soprano saxophone and then singing the song I Wish I Was in New Orleans.
Let's listen.
To that tenor saxophone keeps calling me home, and I can hear the band begin when the saints go marching in. By the whiskers on my chin, New Orleans, I'll be there. I'll drink you under the table. I'll be red-nosed, we'll see the sights. All my old haunts, all I want is red beans and rice, and wear the dress I love so well. Meet me at the old saloon. Make sure there's a Dixie moon. New Orleans, I'll be there. the cards, roll the dice, put the beer down on ice. We'll stroll down Claiborne Avenue, just me, my dear, and you. I wish I was in New Orleans. I can see you in my dreams. Arm and arm down Birdland, a bottle and my friends and me. New Orleans, I'll be there. New Orleans, I'll be there.
It's nice, man.
Little cymbal thing. Yeah. It's my brother playing the banjo too.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So it's like all of y'all, man, the whole family. Except for your pop. He plays piano, though, right?
Yes. Yeah. No, he wasn't there. We recorded it at my grandfather's house on Gabriel Island.
Okay.
It's a beautiful spot. But yeah, it's myself, my brother, my grandfather, and then some honorary family members who played with the family for years. Benji Bohannon, who you may have met at some point. He lives in New Orleans now.
Yeah.
But Donald Ogilvie playing guitar and Jen Hodge playing bass.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That was a beautiful recording, man.
Yeah, I was really glad that we were able to pull that together.
So I want the people to know how to get in touch with you. If it's via Facebook, you don't want them to go to your website. Don't go to evanarntzen.com. It's the first time I've ever said that on this show. Do not, whatever you do, do not go. You will regret your life. If you go to evanarntzen.com. You might have to spell your last name so they can find you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, my last name is Arntzen or Tzen, depending on
where you're at.
Yeah, exactly. Where you're listening.
So where can they find you and your music?
Probably Facebook is the best way right now.
And your Facebook handle is Evan Arntzen?
Evan Arntzen, yeah.
Okay,
that's my name.
EVAN.
Yep.
And Arntzen, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of us out there.
Yeah, I did go to your website and was like, man, this is pretty sad, man.
Yeah.
You got it.
You're not kidding.
Yeah.
I got to get that together. I know.
Y'all should go just to
Talk
have
to
a
me
laugh,
next week.
Man.
Right. Sure. If you need a laugh, go to evanarntzen.com. Right. It will sort you out.
Yo, I want to thank Evan Arntzen for coming on the Working Artist Project. And we'll catch y'all later.
Thank you, Darrian.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to the Working Artist Project. Before you go, I need you to do a few more things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on iTunes and Facebook. I would love to connect with each and every one of you. It would also be awesome if you guys could check out my Patreon page. The link will be in the description. Each week, I will recognize one of my patrons at the end of this podcast. If you want to find out how to get your name called, click the link below. Become a patron. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.